Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive into the story of the youngest serviceman to receive the Medal of Honor during World War II, I want to highlight the incredible heroism of U.S. Army Sergeant First Class Alwyn Cashe, whose actions saved the lives of his fellow soldiers. This audio is from a short video I released on the Duty and Valor YouTube channel. Be sure to check it out and subscribe for more stories like this one. While serving as a platoon sergeant with 1st Battalion, 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Brigade, 3rd Infantry Division, Sergeant First Class Alwyn Cashe was on a nighttime mounted patrol near an enemy-laden village in Iraq on October 17, 2005, when his Bradley fighting vehicle was struck by enemy small arms fire and a roadside bomb. The explosion disabled the vehicle and engulfed it in flames. Though injured, Sergeant First Class Cashe climbed out and immediately turned back to save his men. He rushed to the front of the burning vehicle, opened the hatch, and alongside another soldier pulled the severely burned driver to safety. While extinguishing the flames on the driver, Sergeant First Class Cashe's fuel-soaked uniform caught fire, causing catastrophic burns across his body. Despite the intense pain, Sergeant First Class Cashe pressed on. Under enemy fire, he made his way to the rear of the vehicle to aid more of his soldiers. When a nearby friendly element returned fire, Sergeant First Class Cashe seized the opportunity, entered the troop compartment, and pulled out 4 more wounded men. Realizing 2 soldiers were still unaccounted for, he went back into the burning vehicle a second time. Reinforcements soon arrived to secure the area and establish a casualty collection point. Even then, Sergeant First Class Cashe stayed focused on his men. When medevac helicopters arrived, he refused evacuation until every one of his soldiers had been airlifted first. Suffering from 2nd and 3rd degree burns over most of his body, Sergeant First Class Alwyn Cashe was eventually flown to Fort Sam Houston in Texas, where he fought for his life for more than 3 weeks. On November 8, 2005, he succumbed to his wounds. For the actions that saved the lives of 7 of his soldiers, Sergeant First Class Alwyn Cashe was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor on December 16, 2021. And like I said earlier, if you're into these shorter stories with photos and video clips, check out the Duty and Valor YouTube channel. Now on to today's main story. On February 20th, 1945, during the Battle of Iwo Jima, a 17-year-old Marine would make a split-second decision that would forever define the meaning of valor. Private First Class Jacklyn "Jack" Lucas, barely more than a boy, became the youngest Marine in U.S. history to receive the Medal of Honor. And this is his story. Jacklyn, who would go by Jack, was born in Plymouth, North Carolina on February 14, 1928, to parents Louis and Margaret Lucas. When Jack was just 10 years old, his father, a tobacco farmer, died. Not long after, Jack was sent to Edwards Military Institute in Salemburg, North Carolina. There, Jack excelled in sports and was the captain of the school's football team. In addition to football, he also participated in baseball, basketball, boxing, and wrestling, among other sports. When the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, Jack was just 13 years old, but he was itching to join the war effort. After months of waiting, Jack devised a plan. He entered a Marine Corps Reserve office in Norfolk, Virginia in August 1942 to enlist. As he was too young, he had to forge documents and bribe a notary to falsely say that he was 17 years old. Jack was sent to Parris Island, South Carolina for recruit training, where he completed training and qualified as a sharpshooter at the age of 14. After this, he was assigned to the Marine Barracks at Naval Air Station Jacksonville in Florida, then to the 21st Replacement Battalion at Marine Corps Air Station New River, North Carolina. And a month later, he was at Camp Lejeune for training as a heavy machine gun crewman. From there, he and his unit were sent to San Diego for further training and then sent to Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, where he was assigned to the 5th Amphibious Corps. He was promoted to Private First Class, but while there it was discovered that he had lied about his age. He had sent a letter to his girlfriend where it was read by military censors, who realized he was only 15 years old. As punishment, he was forced to be a truck driver on the Marine Corps base there. During his time in Hawaii, he was continually in trouble. He got into bar fights, went absent without leave or AWOL, and assaulted a military policeman when he attempted to take the case of beer that Private Lucas was carrying through the barracks. He was subsequently sentenced to 5 months in the stockade, though I couldn't find out how long he actually served. As the war raged on, Private Lucas wasn't happy driving a truck when others were being sent off to fight. He repeatedly asked to be sent to the front lines, but he was denied each time. But given his behavior to this point, it's no surprise that he decided to get himself into combat one way or another. On January 10, 1945, Private Lucas walked away from his camp carrying boots and fatigues. He then stowed away on a victory ship heading to the Japanese-held Iwo Jima. The day prior to being officially listed as a deserter, Private Lucas turned himself in to Captain Robert Dunlap on February 8th. Captain Dunlap, who would go on to be awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions at Iwo Jima, was the commanding officer of Company C, 1st Battalion, 26th Marines, 5th Marine Division. Once reported to the battalion commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Pollock, he assigned Private Lucas to Captain Dunlap's company as a rifleman and demoted Lucas to a private. Just days before the start of the Battle of Iwo Jima, Private Lucas turned 17. Though not part of the initial assault by the 5th Marine Division, the 26th Regiment set foot on Iwo Jima on February 19, 1945. The following day, Private Lucas was part of a 4-man rifle team that was moving towards a Japanese airstrip. Their movements were discovered by an enemy pillbox which opened fire on them. To avoid the heavy fire, the 4 Marines jumped into a nearby trench. Not far away, 11 Japanese soldiers were occupying a trench and the two sides started firing on each other. During the firefight, Private Lucas shot 2 enemy soldiers, but his gun jammed. He then lowered himself into the trench and began to work on clearing the jam. As the only Marine not firing on the enemy, he was the only one to spot 2 grenades which landed in their midst. After yelling "grenade," Private Lucas acted. He quickly pushed 1 grenade into the soft volcanic ash with his rifle and threw himself onto it and pulled the other under his body as well. One of the 2 grenades detonated and threw him onto his back where he lay gravely wounded. The 3 other Marines looked over and knew that no one could survive such a blast, and they left Private Lucas alone as they continued their assault. Private Lucas had been hit by approximately 250 pieces of shrapnel and sustained wounds to his right arm, wrist, leg, thigh, and chest. Miraculously, though, it didn't kill him. He was found barely conscious and still holding the unexploded grenade in his left hand when another Marine Corps unit was passing his position. A nearby Navy corpsman was called over and he was able to stabilize Private Lucas for his transport to the beach, where he would be evacuated to a ship later that night. He was then moved to the hospital ship USS Samaritan, where he underwent the first of 26 surgeries to remove the shrapnel embedded in his body. The surgeries were only partially successful, and Private Lucas still had about 200 pieces of shrapnel in his body. Following his actions at Iwo Jima, the Marine Corps removed from his records any mention of unauthorized absences. On September 18, 1945, Jack Lucas was promoted back to Private First Class and was discharged due to his injuries. Weeks later, on October 5th, Private First Class Jack Lucas was at the White House for a ceremony where he was presented the Medal of Honor by President Harry Truman. In addition to Private First Class Lucas, 3 sailors and 10 other Marines were also awarded the Medal of Honor, including his company commander, Captain Robert Dunlap. At the age of just 17, Jack Lucas is the youngest serviceman to receive the Medal of Honor during World War II, and the youngest Marine to receive it ever. In 1961, Jack Lucas joined the Army as a paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne Division and volunteered to fight in Vietnam, though his request was denied. He spent 4 years in the Army and attained the rank of captain. After leaving military service behind him for good, Jack Lucas started a chain of successful butcher shops in Maryland. In 1977, the Maryland State Police discovered a plot by his second wife and stepson to have Jack killed. The two had solicited an undercover officer to kill Jack and they were arrested. The two pleaded guilty but were only sentenced to probation after Jack asked the court to show them mercy. Jack Lucas lived a long life and passed away at the age of 80 on June 5, 2008. He is buried at Highland Cemetery in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. In 2023, the Navy commissioned the Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer USS Jack H. Lucas in his honor. Jack Lucas didn't wait for permission to serve. He enlisted in the Marine Corps at the age of 14, driven by a sense of duty beyond his years. And at Iwo Jima, he proved that courage isn't measured by age and showed the world what true selflessness looks like. Thank you for listening to this episode of Duty and Valor. If you enjoyed this episode and our show in general, please like, follow, and share our show. You can also support the show directly at patreon.com/dutyandvalor or by becoming a member of the Duty and Valor YouTube community. To read more about this week's hero, check out the sources used in today's episode in our show notes and at dutyandvalor.com. We release new episodes on the Duty and Valor YouTube channel on Fridays at 5 p.m. On our channel, we also release YouTube shorts that highlight our nation's heroes, many of whom haven't been featured on the show yet. Please join us for our next episode, where we'll be sharing the inspiring story of another American hero who served with pride and lived with humility.